Now, a new book is making headlines here in France. The Silence of Betharram unveils horrific testimonies of abuse at the Catholic-run school of Betharram, an institution that has been under scrutiny. Among those speaking out is the eldest daughter of France's Prime Minister, who has faced criticism for staying silent for some 30 years. To talk more about this, we're joined on set by Antonia Kerrigan. Antonia, I see that you have been reading this book. What stands out to you?
Well, so to give you a bit of context, this book is co-authored by Alain Esquer, who was a former pupil at Betharram. He created a Facebook group entitled Former Pupils of Betharram School, Victims of the Institution. And recent months, the testimonies have come rolling in. Many of them came out to us earlier in the year. They were brought to light by Mediapart, an investigative news site. What came through then was systematic, sadistic behaviour by teachers and priests, punishments that involve children being left out in the cold of the Pyrenees overnight in their underwear, violent beatings, children often left bleeding or covered in bruises, and a culture of paedophilia. A few of the testimonies in this book stand out. One is that of Alexandre, who went on a summer scout camp run by a school employee who, it gives you shivers just the thought, always took two of the boys into his tent at night. One night it was Alexandre's turn and he was woken in the night by the by the school employee touching him. I'll spare you the worst of the details. Another school employee who was nicknamed Cheval, horse, by the pupils because of his long horse-shaped face and features, who frequently called one victim, Olivier, also cited in this book, into his room where he would rape him. Another incident described about this Cheval was a boy on his way to the nurse's office in the middle of the night encountered Cheval, and instead of letting him go and get medical help, he injected him with a syringe full of water, inflicting excruciating pain. This is just the tip of the iceberg. These are just a few incidents. I should tell you 200 police reports have been filed for incidents that took place at this school or in connected events like summer camps and that kind of thing. 90 of those 200 police complaints are for sexual abuse incidents.
Wow. Now, one of the victims, it appears, is the eldest daughter of France's current Prime Minister.
That's quite right. So Hélène Perlon is a chapter dedicated to her in this book, to her testimony. She spoke on the radio this morning. Let's take a listen to what she said about why she decided to come forward.
I wanted to be counted as one of the victims, to say I'm one of those from Betharram. I would finally be able to speak with them, just an ordinary victim, one among many, and the daughter of the Prime Minister.
Now, given, as you can imagine, her father is Prime Minister, so it would have been a real dilemma for her whether or not to come forward. Her story is that she attended the sister school of Betharram, Igon, and was once at a summer camp organised by a priest who was in fact connected with both schools. And she describes a violent beating she received. She was grabbed by the hair, pulled to the floor, dragged several metres along the ground. She was then punched and kicked repeatedly in the head of the stomach to the point where she urinated. The priest then walked away, saying maybe that'll wipe the smile off her face. She then attended Betharram school in the final years. It was a mixed school. And she describes an atmosphere of paedophilia, boys talking openly with the RE teacher, who was also a priest, about masturbation, for instance. The crucial thing that she maintains is that she never said anything at the time to her father. And that's, of course, important for Bayrou that she said that because he is coming under a lot of scrutiny for what he may have known, could have known, and perhaps could have done differently.
Yeah, because if you go through an excruciating episode like that and your father could potentially make a difference, would you not tell them?
Well, he maintains no one said anything, or he certainly maintained that at the start. So the accusations that came from this Facebook page, these more than 200 complaints, span incidents from the 1960s right through to the 2000s. It became very public in February when news site Mediapart opened up this dossier. And they drew attention to François Bayrou, who was throughout the 90s, an elected official, a regional official, local MP, respected dignitary in the region. Most importantly, from 1993 to 1997, he was education minister. He also had close links to the school, children attending the school, his wife volunteering to give RE lessons at the school. But when questioned in Parliament initially, he insisted he denied any knowledge of the events. Let's have a listen to what he said back then.
Obviously, I was never informed of anything, any violence, or any of what we now know to be sexual violence. Never.
This account, though, got less and less credible. Mediapart then released further findings that involved the testimony of at least 3 individuals who had raised concerns to him at the time, who said they'd had conversations about it. It's also worth noting that in 1996, one school employee was fined 5,000 francs for hitting a child so hard that he was left with impaired hearing. Jesus. So it's not like there was nothing in the public consciousness. However, a month later, François Bayrou visited the school as a local dignitary and government official and defended the school, said the school was coming under attack. A witness has also come out in the last few months saying that they were once in the school building with his wife, who was, of course, on site giving religious education lessons, and a child was being beaten within earshot. So this narrative whereby he never knew anything or he had no idea of the scale of it, it's getting less and less credible. There is also an investigative judge who is working on matters surrounding the school in 1998, who he said met with the Prime Minister back then, and they'd had a long discussion about the affair. So the number of different testimonies coming out, that just how close the information seemed to get to the Prime Minister back then, it's less and less credible that he could have known nothing. Of course, he insisted yesterday that he, when his daughter's account came out, that it was like a dagger to the heart, and that, of course, it goes beyond his belief that anything like this could have happened.
We'll see how this story evolves. Thank you very much for that, Antonio. Antonio Carrigan there.